Arsenal have an injury crisis and everyone wants to talk about it. So, Harry, I'll come straight to you. Why are Arsenal struggling so much without Ødegaard and all these other players? There's even Kieran Tierney on this list. I cannot believe what I see. Let's talk about Ødegaard and why Arsenal missing him.
Well, first of all, people say injury crisis and why are Arsenal struggling so much? They lost their first away game in 2024 the other day. They won every other game around that, and the meltdown has been ridiculous. I think there's a bit of over-analysis when it comes to this subject. I think with any team, when you take out their two best players, which Odegaard and Saka clearly are, you end up in a situation where the team is weaker. Mm-hmm. Now, can you argue that the drop-off's been too big? I think you can, in terms of the performances. I think you could argue that you should be at 70, 75%, and instead maybe Arsenal are closer to 50% at the moment. But they are still, generally speaking, winning football matches. Yeah. And I think they should be praised for the fact that they've come through this period. Not Saka's missed one league game, but Martin Ødegaard's missed a fair few. And I think you should be praising them for dealing with all the injuries they've had defensively, in the midfield, signing Mikel Merino, and he's out for 2 months. For them to be where they are, just 3 points worse off than they were at this same stage last season, having had a much more difficult run of fixtures, I think is a positive. And so the term struggling doesn't really sit well with me.
So I'll come to the thing you said there about maybe struggling is the wrong term and blame the person who wrote this. I didn't say that. Is the problem here that the drop-off's been too big? Because I've got some stats in front of me here which will probably echo what Harry just said there. Their shot-creating actions this season are 5th in terms of ranking in the league. Their open play shot-creating actions is 6th. Passes into the final third, 14th. Progressive passes, 7th. Expected goals, 6th. So is that because Ødegaard's not been there, or is something else going on that we need to look at?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I've said it multiple times. Ødegaard's my favourite non-Chelsea player to watch. He's absolutely incredible. And when you take a player of that quality out of an Arsenal team that aren't blessed with too many players in that position, then you're going to struggle. Arsenal are not built in terms of their constitution like a Man City where Kevin De Bruyne can miss 6 or 7 months of the season and Man City is still going to be fine. Ødegaard is so important to what Arsenal do. And let's not forget, I know he's not a vocal leader, but he is also the captain. And so he's taken a huge cog out of this Arsenal team. And as a result of that, you are going to be a lesser side going forward. And you had to see an adaptation from Mikel Arteta when it comes to this Arsenal team without Ødegaard. But what I will say with Arsenal is that these are levels, these are the standards. When Liverpool had injuries last season, nobody gave them an out. Nobody really highlighted the injuries. They just had to get on with it. I know this is a Liverpool team that we've seen win league titles and Champions Leagues, but this is what you have to deal with. Arsenal were very blessed last season with not that many injuries to key players. This season you're having to suffer because it swings and roundabouts, really. You can't really legislate for where you're going to get injuries. So I think for Arsenal, they're dealing with it quite well, haven't dropped too many points. Obviously, the game against Bournemouth was a poor one. But in terms of the way you've navigated without Ødegaard, I think it's par for the course. You're where you're supposed to be.
I don't think it's an excuse because, as you mentioned, you've got to deal with this if you want to be at the top level. It's just context around why maybe Arsenal's performances aren't as great as people have become accustomed to over the last couple of years. I looked through these stats and I had a good look at a lot of them this morning in detail. And the one that jumped out to me was expected goals, right? 13.5, 6th in the league. And people look at that and go, well, if you want to be top of the league, surely you've got to be at least in the top 2, top 3 when it comes to expected goals. I'm going to look at it through another lens. Actually, Arsenal are outperforming their XG. So what does that tell you? They're efficient. So when things haven't gone great for them in terms of their ability to build up, and when the creativity's been missing, they've been efficient in front of goal. And one of the players that deserves a load of praise for this, because in the past he's been criticised for being the exact opposite, is Kai Havertz. Because when he gets a chance nowadays, it ends up in the back of the net more often than not. When they get a set piece, they make the most out of it very, very often. Efficiency is getting Arsenal through a period where the XG and other things are not quite where they want to be.